And there we are. Final Cut Pro TV Live, FCP TV Live. Here we are. What are we going to talk about? Now, look, we had a phone call last week, and we talked about whether they were going to be we knew an update was coming, and we talked about to someone on the phone whether it was going to be 10.5.3 or 10.6. Well, we got 10.5.3. Now, what does that mean, 10.5.3? We'll go over a little bit of the details of the little main update in 10.5.3 in a minute. But Tangier, our friend, says, hey, Richard. Hey, Tangier, how you doing? Max Ivy says, another fixing issues update. What a waste. Davinci Resolve is the winner. Why is it a waste? Okay, why is it a waste? It's an update to 10.5.3. You mean it's not a big update. We're still waiting on the big update. Okay, that's 10.6. It's coming in 2021. Speaking of that, I got Davinci Resolve Studio. I installed that this week. Haven't used it a whole lot. I'm still waiting on Final Cut Pro 10.6 like all the rest of us. I mean, we are waiting on it, right? We're waiting on 10.6. It's coming. Okay? It's coming. It's absolutely coming. So, what's going on? Now, I expected this update this week. I'll show you a couple of things. We'll go over a couple of the details. So last week, Tangier says, I appreciate these updates, although they're small, more powerful searching features is a welcome addition. Yes, that's exactly it, Eric. This makes a big anniversary update much less likely. This is a preemptive strike on Apple's part, on the Final Cut Pro team's part. It takes the pressure of doing something on the 10th anniversary of Final Cut Pro off the table. Probably. I mean, could they surprise us with an up 10.6 on Monday? Sure they could. But the odds of them doing that are not very great. This is a baby step towards Final Cut Pro 10.6. Little baby step, right? Little one. It's got one main feature and a bunch of fixes and improvements and stuff, which they normally do. Look, we usually don't get anything in the summer. We're heading it after this part of the summer. It gets to be what they call the dog days of summer, which is pretty boring stuff. I know. I've been doing Final Cut Pro Radio for 6 years. The summertime's the hardest time. The hardest time to keep going with Final Cut Pro news, I look for anything we can possibly talk about. So yes, the Monday is the 10th anniversary of Final Cut Pro, 10th birthday. So this is an interesting interim step. It's right before the birthday. So what does that mean exactly? So Daniel says, no new feature in Motion. It bummed me out. I mean, Motion's always been way behind Final Cut, hasn't it? I mean, they do a big update for Final Cut. Motion gets a little bit of stuff, but Motion's nowhere near the amount of updates to Final Cut Pro. Now, we got to wait and see if the new version of Motion is to go with Final Cut Pro 10.6 is big. They made their best-in-class database management in Final Cut Pro and made it better. I'll take it. If they made, I think he means, if they made. Well, listen, they did something that people have been requesting for a while. Let me just pull this up. So, where have we? Here we go, webpage. So over here at fcpx.tv, we have a post here that I said, will Final Cut Pro make a third appearance at WWDC? Well, 10.6 didn't make an appearance, but Final Cut Pro made the third appearance in a row on screen. Very briefly. It was on very briefly. Final Cut Pro is on screen, but no Final Cut Pro update. The update's today. The update is today. So let's go down and look at this list that I have. And let's look at something here. This is a list of features that top 20 feature requests for an update to Final Cut Pro. So let's go down here and look something here. Cliponio. Nope, we didn't get that. ability to B-raw support, that I didn't put that in this one. I don't think I did. Let me just check here. Well, checkboxes to allow custom settings, spatial deforms. Timeline view, that's not what I was looking for. So it's not in this one. So let's go to top request. I know it's in there. So this is one of the things that I've been requesting. A lot of people have been requesting for a while. And let me just compound clips. Oh, that's that. That's that. Let me just do a search real quick. Here we go. No, that's still the effects browser. Somewhere in here, I have exactly what happened, the ability to save custom layouts in the browser. Let me see where the heck that is. Well, anyway, there's somewhere in here is a browser improvement on browser, and it talks about being able to save the browser column layout. Well, they actually did that, right? They actually did that this time around. Let me see, Richard, that's fine. They actually gave us the ability to save the effects layout in the browser. Final Cut Pro well on its way to join Aperture. Listen, when Aperture was end of life, they gave us a warning ahead of time. They said, we're not going to update Aperture anymore. RIP Aperture. Aperture's been gone for quite a while. But this time, they gave us the ability to save the column layouts in the browser, right? They gave us that ability. So let's go over here and look at this. Let me pull this up. I think. Nope, it's not that one. Here we go. You can customize the browser layout the way that you like now. So this is incredible. This is a great feature. I'm really glad that they finally did this for us. So now you can right-click on the column, save column set as. Now, when you do that, you're going to get. Let me just do one thing real quick that I didn't do prior. Let me see if that's over here. Camlink 4K. Not sure why that's not coming up, but anyway, so you could not save column layouts before. Now you can save column layouts. Not only can you, let's save a column try set. It's going to give you custom layouts in the arrangement of columns in list view. So I always use RT for my name, Richard Taylor, And then usually I put a space before it, so it goes to the top of the sort. But I always use RT for Richard Taylor. And then I'll say layout 1. Actually, I want to go down here. Oh, that's interesting. So if I put a space before it, I can't save it. Look at that. Space before it, I cannot save it. Take the space out, I can save it. Layout 1. RT layout 1. So now this is all customizable. And you can reveal in Finder your layout, so you can share them across different computers. And you can, look at all these things you can now do. We've been complaining about the browser for quite a while. Now we have all these options to check on, check off. We have, of course, video properties, audio properties, still properties, audio, custom properties, all kinds of neat stuff. So that's a pretty cool update. I'm not going to say it's not. It is, but that's really the only thing that we got, right? We didn't get much else. Let me pull that down. We did not get much else. So we had one of these FCP TV lives, right? And we had, let me see now, what's going on there? We had this. We had a phone call. Let's see what we talked about. And now what's going on with Final Cut Pro? I mean, the 10th birthday is coming up on June the 21st. Are you guys, is anybody doing any celebration for that? Really? I won't say anything. I won't say anything. So there is another version of Final Cut Pro coming out, an update to Final Cut Pro coming out. Well, we know that. The question is whether it's going to be 10.5.3 or 10.6. Well, we know 10.6 is coming, obviously. So that was last week. We specifically said that an update to Final Cut Pro was coming. We got a phone call that said that an update to Final Cut Pro was coming, whether it was 10.6 or 10.5.3, which we specifically called out last week because we got a phone call. We got a phone call and we talked about it. It's 10.5.3, which means 10.6 is not quite ready yet. So listen, I understand the pace of updates has slowed down tremendously. Yes, the last couple of years has been, Final Cut Pro has stalled compared to previous updates. It absolutely has, last couple of years. But what does that mean? Does that mean they're sleeping? No, that means they're working on something gigantic. That's what it has to be. 10.6 has to be a brand new version of Final Cut that's going to blow us out of the water. That's what I say. I will say Capture One is basically Aperture and DR Fusion and Shake. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know what Capture One is. I'm more excited for the June LumaFusion update. Of course, LumaFusion is a great program, and they're just doing fantastic work with updating it. I agree. Tangier says, pass my name along, Richard. Maybe they'll give you more info. They certainly might. So let's go over. Where is that? Let me pull this up. Let me see something here. What's new in Final Cut Pro? Final Cut Pro, table of contents. What's new? Here we go. That's not what I'm looking for. Let me just look in the history here a second. Somewhere I have this. I just had it up. That's not it. History. Earlier today. Here we go. Here's what I want. Here's what I want. Here we go. Final Cut Pro release notes. You don't have to go anywhere else. Just go to Apple. You don't have to go to any other website to learn out what's new in Final Cut Pro as far as the notes. Some of these groups have just repost these notes over again. So what's new in Final Cut Pro 10.3? Create and edit custom column views with the new column editor. So that's a big feature, right? I mean, it's not, it's not a major update, but it is a new feature. So that's really cool. This is the second time we've got new features in the summer, which is interesting. Search for media in the browser using expanded criteria, including clip names, markers, and notes. Yes, that's absolutely true. Sort clips in the browser according to type, crops, proxy media optimized, etc. And the rest, those are the only three things we got. So it's browser. The ability to save a browser layout is gigantic to me. I love that. Finally, look, 10 years and we finally got the ability. It's finally here. Yes, it's finally here. This is baby steps, baby steps, baby steps to 10.6. 10.6 has got to be a giant update. We're going to see that in 2021. Fixes an issue, audio adjusting keyframes on one side of the blade, blah, blah, blah. Restore support for copying files from the Finder and pasting into the timeline. Improves stability and copying events. The rest of these are all fixes. Improves, fixes. So that's what we got. So the big thing is creating, editing, custom layout. Listen, why did they do that? Why did they do that? At this point, well, like we talked about, Final Cut Pro's birthday is coming up Monday, and they wanted to preempt any anticipation that they're going to do something for Final Cut Pro's 10th birthday. That's basically what I think. So John Hooper says, Capture One is like Lightroom, I see. Jacob says, my favorite new feature in 10.5.3, search for media in the browser using expanded criteria, including clip names, markers, and notes. Yes, markers and notes, absolutely. I type my edit notes inside markers all the time. Yes, add overlay. Yes, I agree with you. That is absolutely a big one because I do the same thing. The notes are somewhat limited in Final Cut because they're attached to clips. They're not sequence notes, so I do the same thing. I will make a note, add something here, check this out later, color correct this clip. I do that all the time. Tangier says, perhaps what they're doing is improved database backbone and better Apple Silicon optimization along with AI neural engine type features, making AI marking the clapper with no sound for syncing. They're doing something. Bill Jones says, I just watched the Ripple training video about what's new, and I am most excited about the search for offline clips. Now we can use this in the timeline index. That's a great feature. Absolutely. I agree with that. Torgrim, our friend Torgrim Grimstad from Finnmark, Norway, everyone. My MacBook Pro late 2013 is struggling, so I'd rather have a new MacBook Pro with M2 chips that has big fat updates. So until then, I'm good. Yes. Eric says, off topic, the screen on this new 12.5-inch iPad Pro is incredible to these eyes. Anyway, I'm sure it is. I would really like dupe detection in the storyline. Tangier Clark says, yes. It's got to be coming in 10.6, don't you think? I think it has to be coming in 10.6. It doesn't make any sense if it's not. So let me just pull this up real quick. Earlier today, where did I go earlier today? TweetDeck. That's what I want to do, TweetDeck. So here's, let's go back to the web page. So this week, so for one thing, We're going to have a 10th birthday celebration, even though Apple is not. Okay, Apple is not having one that I know of, but we are going to have one right here on the YouTube channel. It's already up, so stay tuned for that. We're going to do a 10th birthday to Final Cut Pro. This is what I posted on Tuesday. I posted, is today Tuesday? Now, usually I do that when I expect an update to Final Cut Pro. Well, Thursday is the new Tuesday. Okay? I knew the update was coming, and I thought it might be Tuesday. I didn't think it was going to be Wednesday, and here it comes out on Thursday. So I posted this on Tuesday, is today Tuesday? That's what I typically do. And then I say, what do I say? On Tuesday, I asked, is today Tuesday? Tuesday is today. Final Cut Pro 10.5.3 is out. So listen, would you rather have no update? Would you rather have no update for Final Cut Pro? Or would you rather have a small update while you're waiting for 10.6? Everybody's anxious for 10.6. I understand that completely. I am. I've been waiting for a while. We haven't got much of an update since 10.4 as far as a big feature update, but the browser is a pretty cool little feature. They're throwing it in there. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that they did indeed give us a little update while we're waiting. There's the Final Cut Pro radio backyard cam. Look at all that shade out there. Those are goldfinches. Couple little goldfinches on there. Let me see if I can zoom in. I think I can. I got to pull the app up. Pull the app up. Here we go. Mevo. I have to turn that off. There we go. Turn that back on. There we go. Mevo. Connect. Connect. All right, so here we go. There's the goldfinches. Didn't update. That's weird. But anyway, there's the goldfinches. It crashed. How about that? Oh, there it is. Now it's back. Let's try it again. Is it there? There it is. It's weird. It crashed when I updated it. So there we go. There was a couple of goldfinches there. Now they're gone. There's the garden in the background. We're working on the garden. So we talked to somebody on the phone last week. We talked about the update to Final Cut Pro 10.3, 10.6, 10.3. I knew an update was coming. 10.3 is what it is. That's what we got for the time being. 10.6 can come out at any time. Yeah, I doubt if it's coming out Monday. I mean, that would be a complete shocker. I don't know about this summer. I expect it maybe in the fall around, if they have it out around NAB, I don't think so, because Apple's probably not going to NAB. They're not doing a whole lot of in-person events right now. Even though they're coming back to campus, I doubt if they're doing much events, especially at NAB. Then they got the Creative Summit in November, and we'll have to see how that goes. The Creative Summit, the last two Creative Summits have been really, really cool, but the Apple, there hasn't been any updates for Final Cut Pro. As if you've watched this Final Cut Pro TV live, you know that there wasn't much update. So we'll see what happens this year. I think maybe the new MacBook Pros, when they come out, maybe that's when they're going to release 10.6. We'll have to see. John Hooper says, Tangier Cluck, I hope they had a ton of AI stuff. All the most exciting things in image processing these days are machine learning based. Magic Mask feature would be much appreciated. Absolutely would be. I expect that at the next FCP Summit. We'll have to see how that goes. Richard, do you actually think they'll announce another major version this year? Absolutely. We haven't had a major version this year. We haven't had a major version in 2021. So it's not another major version. It would be the only major version. There's been no major version in 2021. The Summit is a good place to announce a new version of Final Cut Pro, but I think it's going to coincide with the MacBook Pro this time around. They did that in 2016. They introduced the MacBook Pro, and during the MacBook Pro presentation, I was headed to my very first Final Cut Pro Creative Summit in California, Cupertino, and I was in the shuttle. I had a shuttle to go from the airport to Cupertino, and I had my laptop and I hooked it up and I watched the presentation, and they introduced the 2016 MacBook Pro, and at the end of that she goes, oh, by the way, they were demoing Final Cut Pro on it, and then the presenter goes, oh, by the way, that's the new version of Final Cut Pro. We were on 10.2 at the time. That was 10.3, 2016. So they actually did a new version of Final Cut Pro at a MacBook Pro event. That was a 2016 MacBook Pro with the Touch Bar. Will they do a live summit or keep it virtual? Yes, that's the answer to that, Eric. They will do a live summit and keep it virtual. They will do. Why not? Maryland opened up completely. July the 1st, we are at, let me pull this up. I'll show you a little video. Maryland's opening up completely, so let me pull this up for everybody. Here we go. So this is a video I shot last night, and if you noticed, nobody has masks on. Maryland has completely opened up. This is a local carnival we had. I think I saw maybe a dozen masks out of thousands of people. So we're doing pretty good in Maryland right now. So I guess my point is that, yes, things are opening back up, and the summit is, if they do, they haven't announced it yet. There's been no announcement. The summit, I'm going to presume, is going to be in November like it has for the last 2 or 3 summits. NAB is in October. They've announced they're doing it in person. So the summit, well, we'll see. I have a feeling that we're going to be doing some in-person things. And IBC's moved to December. And I expect, well, they're also going to be live, right? They cannot afford another 2011 rollout, so I'd rather wait until it's done and done right. Of course, absolutely. Well, 10.5, really 10.4 to 10.6, because 10.5 doesn't, we've got these little updates in here, but these are really like, instead of, we got 10.4.9, which was really cool last August, and now we got 10.5.3, which has some updates for Universal. It's for people on Intel and people on M1. It's not just an M1 update like 10.5 mainly was. So, and then also there's an update to Compressor. Now, Compressor has, it's mostly audio description. I think that's the main thing. But it looks really, really clunky the way they've incorporated it. You got to export 2 files, and you got to mix them up, match them up inside a compressor to output that. So it could be use some improvement there. I don't think Motion got any love whatsoever. Do you? I don't think it did. All right, so I think we're just about done for this chapter. Monday we'll be back. We Final Cut Pro editors are going to be celebrating Final Cut Pro's 10th birthday on Monday, June 21st, 10 years ago. Do you remember where you were? Stay tuned. FCP TV Live will absolutely be back with that. I hope everybody comes to see us. We'll have a panel of people talking about that. I'm not going to pre-announce who they are at this point. It's nice out today. What is the temperature? I don't know what the temperature is. Let me see. 75 degrees. 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Really nice out there. So that's, what else do you have the comments about Final Cut Pro? Do you like it that they updated it, or would you rather save all the updates until 10.6 came out? I mean, I'd rather have them, personally. I would rather have the Final Cut Pro, the small updates, while we're waiting for 10.6. I mean, I like the fact that I can now save custom layouts in the browser. That's one of the things, I'm not sure, I couldn't find it earlier, but that's one of the things that I've been asking for, browser improvements, including custom layouts. We can save things, because right now you rearrange your browser. I mean, before 10.5.3, you rearrange your browser and you open it back up, it's gone back to a default browser layout. You couldn't even save it between openings and closing of the project. John Hooper says, based on WWDC sessions, is there anything we can predict features-wise? I am going to predict an audio mixer. That's one of the big ticket items we're going to see. However they incorporate that into the new version of Final Cut, I'm predicting an audio mixer, roles-based mixer, whatever you want to call it. Daniel Suzuki says 75 sounds lovely compared to our 110 in Tucson. Yes, it is. It's very nice. Low humidity today, fairly low. I was outside. I mowed the grass. Usually I mow the grass before the weekend so people riding by can see something nice. Rather have them, of course. It's just trying to discern their update schedule and reasoning that is confounding. Yes. You know, I talked on the last version of Final Cut Pro TV last week. One of the things that I brought up is that Apple is not very good at managing expectations. Like for WWDC, in 2018, Apple came out and said, look, this is going to be a software-only WWDC. We're not going to introduce any hardware. Now, there is some weird stuff going on for this WWDC talking about the MacBook Pro because they had it in they uploaded the YouTube live stream and they had keywords, and one of the keywords was the M1X MacBook Pro that they had in the keywords, M1X and M1X MacBook Pro. So obviously somebody at Apple thought that they were going to introduce the MacBook Pro. They didn't, but that doesn't mean that they weren't going to, right? That doesn't mean they weren't going to. But if they didn't introduce any hardware at WWDC, why couldn't Apple come out a week ahead of time and say, hey, we're not going to do any hardware this time. It's going to be software only. I think there was some back and forth. Maybe there's a shortage, whatever. But in 2019, they showed the Mac Pro. It didn't come out until December. So unless the MacBook Pro is not going to ship this year, but I'm pretty sure it's going to, it can happen. It's over the summer. It can happen in the fall. Maybe they're waiting for Final Cut Pro 10.6 and the MacBook Pro to be announced at the same time. So we'll have to see. 10.6 is coming. I'm pretty sure it's coming in 2021. I'm not going to be like John Prosser and say I'll shave my eyebrows off. That ain't going to happen. 10.6 is coming. I think 2021. The new MacBook Pro is coming. The M1X, according to Apple. Who knows? They could call it the M2, is going to be coming in 2021. Maybe ability to tag sounds automatically with the new AI-based sound analysis kit. Okay, I don't know. I didn't know that existed. Also, the new image-based text recognition from video to help in tagging clips. Yes, I have an app that I've been doing that for about a year. It's called Text Sniper, and basically you just highlight any graphic that has text in it on screen, and it translates to text. I'm not sure. Apple's maybe is a little different. Their version is coming up in the new, what's the name of the new operating system? What is it called? I'm on Catalina still, so I'm not even worried about that at all. But let me see. New Mac OS. Monterey. There you go, Monterey. Everything we know. So Monterey is coming. I may completely skip Big Sur. I did not, John Hooper says Monterey. I did not update to Big Sur. Don't have any need for it. It broke a lot of things that I need, plugins and stuff, my audio stuff. So I have a dual boot. I haven't dual booted for months into Big Sur. Maybe I'll go right to Monterey. We'll have to see. Now, Final Cut, hopefully, is going to work in Catalina. That would be nice. We'll have to see. The new version, 10.6. I hope that's the case. What OS do the rest of, is everybody on? Is everybody on Big Sur? Is everybody on Catalina? Monterey, they're going to have a public beta in July, the way they did with Big Sur last year. So every year, the normal thing is they showed the new operating system at WWDC. They update it in the fall, September, October, November, sometime then. This time they showed this new version of Final Cut, the new little features. That's really cool. Could they have showed that at WWDC? Of course they could have. Of course they could have. But there's really, the only time I've seen Final Cut Pro on WWDC in a big way is with new hardware. So showing it by itself, that doesn't really make any sense at WWDC. So here you go. 1 week after WWDC, we get the update to Final Cut Pro. Eric says he's on Big Sur. John Hooper on El Capitan, and Big Sur. Why did you skip Catalina, John? That's what I'm running on. Torgrim says, is Final Cut Pro 10.6 waiting for the new MacBook Pro M2, or is it the other way around? Who knows? I don't think the MacBook Pro waits on software other than maybe an OS tweak or something. But I think, I don't know. I think both 10.6 and the new MacBook Pro will be coming in 2021. That's my prediction. I think both will be here in 2021. They don't need an event for either one. As you saw today, Final Cut Pro 10.5.3, no event, just release it. MacBook Pro the same way. They can just update the Apple Store and maybe do a press release. Hey, there's a new MacBook Pro. But I don't think that's the case. I do not think that's the case. I do not think that they would do that for a new MacBook Pro. I think they'll do more. At least a big splash, some kind of a big splash of a news release, whatever. Okay. John Hooper says, couldn't upgrade my main machine from El Capitan, upgraded my spare to Big Sur to sync with a new frame TV. Okay. I have a 2009 Mac Pro downstairs in my recording studio that I still use because all my hardware, I can take 24 tracks in and out with the hardware I have with that machine. So I keep that the way it is, and I'm on, I don't even know what I'm on down there. I can't remember. Agree, new laptops will have an event. I think they will. I think there'll be something more than just an announcement. And why, if they're going to do that, 10.6 could come out along with that announcement. But I think we'll see both of them. They're not going to, listen, Apple is not going through the Christmas season with a year-old MacBook Pro. The M1 came out in November of last year. They're not going to hit Christmas season. Yes, they have the new iMacs. Still the M1 chip. Still the M1 chip. It's at this point, it's over 6 months old, 7 months old. I cannot see Apple going into the Christmas buying season with these old M1 chips. Yes, they're fantastic. I understand that. But they're going to be coming out with the M1X, according to Apple Keynote, according to the keywords for the keynote, they're calling it the M1X. M1X MacBook Pro. So they're not going to the Christmas season with a year-old MacBook Pro, with the old MacBook, 13-inch M1 MacBook Pro. They will have a new MacBook Pro out in 2021. Between now and the fall, sometime, it could come out at any time. I don't know what the reason was they pulled it from WWDC. I have no idea. But when they do, maybe we'll see 10.6 then, Final Cut Pro 10.6. I mean, that's what this is, right? Final Cut Pro TV, we want 10.6 to come out? Of course we do. In the meantime, thank you, Final Cut Pro team, for putting out 10.5.3. I really, really like the fact that we can save browser layouts now. That's an important deal, big deal to me. Released June 17th, 2021. Prior to that was March the 4th, which wasn't much. 10.5.1, right after 10.5 came out. So 10.5 came out November the 12th, and then he had right off the bat another update, 10.5.1, which is not unusual. So let's 10.5. That came out around the Creative Summit. So 10.5 was the Creative Summit, was November of that year, last year. It'll probably be about the second or third week of November this year. And March the 4th, we had a little bit of an update. Nothing much. Improvements. So this one's a nice, this is a nice little update. I appreciate that they're releasing these before 10.6 is released, not saving everything for 10.6. 10.6 is coming. Absolutely coming along with the MacBook Pro. Don't know if they're happening at the same time. I have no idea about that. I have no problem waiting for a new M Pro series chip. Give developers time to get up to speed. Well, hopefully it's not too much. Hopefully it's not too much up to speed because they already do the architecture. They've had the architecture for a year. WWDC last year, they had the developer's kit you could get and start developing for it. So we'll have to see how that goes. I like the smaller updates. Jacob Rush says, give the users assurance that the teams care about the program and things are in the works. Yes, we know we're getting 10.6. It's going to have to be huge. 10.6 is not going to be 10.5, okay? 10.6 is not going to be an update like 10.5 was. 10.5 was a marketing fluke. It was nothing to do with the abilities of the Final Cut Pro team and what they were working on. 10.6 in 2021, the new MacBook Pro, the 16-inch is what I'm waiting on. Or, I might get a Mac Mini this time if they have the 4 Thunderbolt ports. I don't care about the MagSafe for a Mac Mini as much. Because does it make sense? Look, I need the MacBook Pro when I travel. If I go to NAB, I want to go back to my motel room and do live broadcast to report on things. The Creative Summit the same way. I don't want to use my phone. I don't want to use an iPad because I have software, which this software is, right? Let me show you what this is. Live demo mode. This is all my software that I have. This is Ecamm Live. Look at all these windows I got going on everywhere. Okay? Down here, I have the audio levels. You can see it right there, audio levels. Over here I have, everything's backwards. Over there I have the browser and stuff. This is what I work with. This is what I need to work with when I do these broadcasts. Ecamm Live, I have a preview mode, and then I have a program. The window on the left is the preview. The window on the right is program. Right now they're in sync because I didn't press preview mode. So I need my laptop to take with me. But my question is this. If I get a Mac Mini, I can take that, right? And just hook up my HDMI out to the motel room TV, just bring a longer cable, take a small keyboard, wireless keyboard, and a mouse or a trackpad, and I'd be just about the same as the MacBook Pro, right, for travel. I can still do Ecamm Live and do things that I need. Update my web pages, for example. That's also a Mac-only application if I need to update that. Has anybody ever done that? Have they taken the Mac Mini with them and used the monitor in the hotel room? That's what I'm planning on doing. I mean, I bring my own coffee kit. I bring a stainless steel pour-over kettle and a AeroPress, and I grind the coffee before I leave. So when I get up in the morning, I'm stumbling around, waking up, put the hot water on, get my first cup of coffee, wake up gradually. What I don't want to do is get up, have to get dressed, go downstairs and try to find some coffee, and then come back up. I don't want that. That's my second cup. So does it make sense if I get a Mac Mini rather than the MacBook Pro? The MacBook Pro is better, it's handier because everything's all included. That's probably what I'll do, is get the MacBook Pro. But I might not. I might get the Mac Mini for this first Pro series. From the core ML session, we'll explore models that can be created for imaging tasks like style transfer and image classification, audio tasks like cloud, sound, and text classification. I'm not sure what that means. Richard, you need an Ember mug. Tanger, I have no idea what that is. No idea what an Ember mug is. You have to explain that to me. So Daniel Suzuki says, do you call ahead to see if the hotel has TVs with HDMI ports? No. I've never seen a current TV without HDMI. That's the way they're connected. So, yeah, I think I'm going to stick with the MacBook Pro. I think so. But we'll have to see. I mean, the MacBook Pro, the one I'm going to get, okay, I'm going to get at least 32 gigabytes of RAM. I'm not going to get 16. My 2019 has 16. It's a 15-inch, not even the 16-inch, has 16 gigabytes. It's worked pretty well, but I want at least 32. I want whatever the high-end graphics are and the higher CPU. And, of course, the multiple Thunderbolt ports. That's one of the things that I want for sure. We'll have to see. I'm not going to get a 13-inch MacBook Pro. That's not big enough. I need something bigger for me, personally. Nothing wrong with 13-inch if you use it. But, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Let me see what else we have. So you guys know where to find youtube.com Richard Taylor TV. You know all about that. Of course, Final Cut Pro Radio, our good friend over there. Final Cut Pro Radio, FCPradio.com, our 6th year. We're going to keep on doing those all summer. And don't forget, this coming week, Monday, we are going to be celebrating Final Cut Pro's 10th birthday right here on this FCP TV Live on YouTube. And we have a panel of people that'll be there. Let me just see. Let me pull that up here. That's happening at 1 o'clock Eastern. Let me see where that is. Birthday. Let me look for birthday. Here we go. There we go. So, there we go. Monday, live in 3 days. Final Cut Pro Live. Happy 10th birthday, Final Cut Pro. Scheduled for June 21st, 2021. And that'll be at 1 o'clock. Yeah, 1 p.m. June 21st, 1 p.m. Eastern. 120, June 21st, 1 p.m. Eastern. That's Monday, so stay tuned for that. I think that's just about it. Look forward to the birthday celebration, yes. Tangier says, I remember the first edit I did on Final Cut Pro 10 to test it out. I was the post supervisor at the National Archives in Washington, D.C. when it came out. I switched over from an old Avid on a PC room they had at their suite, and they continued to call it the Avid room for a long time afterwards, but I switched it over to Final Cut Pro 7 at the time, And then when 10 came out, I kept using 7. All my projects were in 7. But anything that I could use Final Cut Pro 10 for, I would use it just so I get my feet in the water. You have to remember, when 10 came out, everybody was on equal ground. Nobody was an advanced Final Cut Pro 10 editor. It didn't exist prior to that. I mean, people had betas, of course, but that doesn't mean they were an advanced user. John Hooper says, from the Vision Framework WWDC session, meet the person, helps your app separate people and images from the surroundings. Magic mask incoming. Absolutely. Tangier says he did a commercial for American Airlines for a contest they were having. Well, here's the thing. I hope to go to WWDC. I mean, I hope to go to, not WWDC, NAB in October. I hope that I can go there. I'll need a sponsorship of some sort. I've had a sponsorship in the past. LumaFusion has been sponsoring me for the last few years. Now that OWC bought out LumaFusion, I don't think that's going to happen this year, but anyway. And then we'll have to see what happens at the Creative Summit. All right, everyone, I'm going to get out of here. We've been on the air for an hour. That's plenty. Once again, Final Cut Pro has been updated to 10.5.3. That's fantastic. We appreciate that. I appreciate it. Everybody, we thank the Final Cut Pro team. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That gets us a little update, little step, baby step towards 10.6. 10.6 is coming in 2021, I believe. But I'm even more convinced that the MacBook Pro will be out between now and the fall, sometime between now and the fall. Like I said, Apple's not going into the Christmas season with a year-old MacBook Pro, 13-inch MacBook Pro. Ain't going to happen. They will have it out unless there's some kind of a major thing happening, but they will have a Pro version of the Apple Silicon chip out. I don't know what they're going to do with the iPad. I mean, with the Pro, with the iMac, since they just had one out. We'll have to see. But the MacBook Pro and the Mac Mini are the two machines I expect. Would not surprise me to see an M1X version of the iMac come out. I don't think they're going to call it the iMac Pro. I thought Apple said they aren't going to do that, the iMac Pro anymore. Have to see. All right, everyone. Thanks a lot for stopping by. My name's Richard Taylor, right there. And this is FCP TV. Let me get that on screen. Where in the heck is that? Oh, I don't even have that up there. But anyway, youtube.com, Richard Taylor TV. Go over there and subscribe. Get my numbers up a little bit. And signal, you do the bell thing and all that. I'm also on Facebook.com, Richard Taylor TV. I don't accept friend requests over there. You can follow me, though, which you can do now. And Facebook's doing some weird thing where you'll be able to do your podcast, have your podcast on a podcast space over there at Facebook. So we'll see how that works out. All right. I'm going to head out of here, see what's up for dinner tonight. I might go back to the carnival. Let's go back one more time and pull up Final Cut. There we go. And so this is the big deal that they have right now. Go to list view, already list view, go to search, and right here, this little teeny thing right there, click on that. You have the text, markers, names. You can search by markers, search by names, search by notes, or all text, all of it. And if you right click here, I have RT Layout 1, Richard Taylor Layout 1. Default custom set, save column set as, reveal in Finder. You can go and you can save column sets. I will save them in Dropbox. Edit available columns. And look at all these features you have. You can sort through features, audio properties, selected properties, spotlights, custom properties, camera properties, studio properties. Incredible. This is a nice little update, right? Uncheck all, check all. I don't want to check all. That would be incredible. New column set, duplicate column set, delete column set. So that's pretty darn cool for Final Cut, right? It is. It is. It's a nice little update right as summer hasn't even started yet. Today's the 17th, is the Monday. Either the 20th or the 21st is when summer actually starts. So Final Cut Pro's 10th birthday, we're celebrating it on Monday. We'll have a panel of people, FC pros coming in, pro editors coming in on Monday. We'll be discussing Final Cut Pro going forward, and we'll talk a little bit about what we think about Final Cut Pro, the current state of Final Cut Pro, what we expect, and I think it's going to be a good year. I think the fall is going to be good. We didn't get much of an update last year. We got 10.5 and 10.5.1. 10.5 was mostly for this Apple Silicon, which the majority of Final Cut Pro editors are not on Apple Silicon, so it didn't affect the vast majority of Final Cut Pro editors, the millions of editors they're editing on Apple Intel. It didn't affect them at all, and it was disappointing that 10.5 came out, and that's all it basically was for Apple Silicon. I understand, marketing deal. All right, I'm going to get out of here. My name's Richard Taylor. Come back Monday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. We will have a panel of Final Cut Pros here. We're going to be celebrating Final Cut Pro 10's 10th birthday. Now, if Apple does something unexpected and does something for the birthday, I would be very surprised, especially since they preempted it with this little update on Thursday. I knew an update was coming. We talked about it last week. Coincidence, this happened right before the anniversary, so you won't expect anything. I would be surprised, but I would be surprised, yes, if they did anything. Yes, I showed that. You can save and share column sets. You can reveal in Finder, yes. You can reveal in Finder, and you can share them with multiple machines. Once you set it up your perfect way, your column set perfectly, all your browser columns exactly the way you wanted them, absolutely. Bap, 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 everything. You can save it. You can, share it. You can share it with people over the internet. I keep my stuff on my keyboard shortcuts. I have Logic keyboard shortcuts, Final Cut Pro keyboard shortcuts. I keep them in Dropbox. I can access them virtually from anywhere. So when I go on a new machine, I just download them, load them up, my keyboard shortcuts the way I like. I like single key keyboard shortcuts. I also keep as much as I can, because I can't do it 100%, as much as I can, I keep keyboard shortcuts the same on Final Cut and Logic. For example, JK&L. Zoom in and zoom out. Deselect. These are ones I use all the time. I keep them single keys, and I have the same shortcuts on Logic, and I have the same shortcuts on Final Cut Pro. All right, everybody. I'll see you on Monday, 1 o'clock Eastern, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific, and I'm not even sure what the GMT would be, 5 o'clock, I think? Yeah, something like that.